And the sign read, "Please respect private property." I had to chuckle. We humans are cute, but we're not that smart. We've been given this planet. Given. Not paid for, not sold. Given. This exquisitely gorgeous planet. To be stewards of. To leave it better than we found it. To allow the generations that come after us to enjoy the exquisite beauty here. And it's quite clear with all the goings on over a long period of time that we're not getting it, that we actually believe we own this planet. We have a right to owning her, that we can put up little fences and that means this is my property, that's your property. Well, here's the thing. There were no fences when the Creator created this land. And I'm not going back that many years ago in terms of how long this planet has been around compared to how long we've taken up the notion of ownership. So all of the indigenous cultures knew that they were stewards of the land. They knew that their role was to protect and preserve this planet, to leave as little of a trace as possible. That's a pretty big contrast between how we live our lives today, kind of like rape the planet to no end. Let's just keep sucking her resources and not care about her at all, according to big industry. And just the very notion that we think we own anything about her, that's a really arrogant attitude that doesn't always promote appreciation or gratitude. And the more that our mindset has gone towards ownership and all of these technologies, and honestly, the lie of ownership, we don't own the earth. You may have a spot of land of many different sizes or just a dwelling that you live in that someone made you believe you owned so they could get you to pay a mortgage and get you to have to contribute money to them in order to have that home. And I know that this is a difficult mindset to break out of, because then it's like, well, then, how does somebody own a home, or how does somebody have a home, or how does the mortgage and the finance businesses work? And it's interesting, isn't it? Even though I say a simple thing like we don't own any of the earth, we have been so convinced, so conditioned, and so indoctrinated about quote-unquote ownership that even though what I say could be completely correct, we'll probably negate what I say because our brain can't even go to, but what would life be like if I didn't own this? Right? I mean, anything that we have here, I think we all know, and we're mature enough to realize it's all borrowed time, right? Maybe you can leave it for your generations to come. Of course, if the government doesn't claim all of it to itself, because the notion of ownership was actually their scheme to get people locked into a way of thinking that would have them paying the government far more than something was worth for 30 years. So the government's created oh my God, we can come up with these ways to talk about ownership and people owning things, and we can keep making money. Government, the banks, the finance companies, right? You end up paying even at a good rate 3% on your house you're still paying for a house in like at least a quarter. Money that got lent to you that wasn't anybody's, but they lent it to you and now they're charging you for lending you money that wasn't even theirs. It's crazy. So we've grown up very conditioned to this whole notion of ownership. The truth is, we don't own anything. And except our personal experiences. We don't own the land. We don't own the animals. We don't own businesses. And so as I looked at that sign and it said, please respect private property. How about please respect the entire planet? She's got her own way of being. She's got her own sacredness. She's got her own knowing of how to function and how to keep this ecosystem healthy and balanced. She knows the animals that need to be on the land to help promote that health. She knows that she would never poison her air or her waters or her food or her people or the animals. So, I see this sign about please respect private property. And literally, I just go to all of this quote-unquote property. It's not ours anyway. We get born here, but we're going to leave here. And it's all in escrow. And Mother Earth holds the escrow account. So I'm curious how you see this, how you think about this. Like, I get it that in the times that we're in, this is what's happening. But to not take a look at some of the fundamental questions that I tend to ask sometimes, about, all right, let's really, really get real and keep it really simple. Like, let's stop making excuses that, we don't know how to live any other way, so we're going to keep living this way even though we know it's not totally correct. So what's it going to take for us to be okay enough to correct it in a way that is allowing for all life to thrive? We're removing peoples, we're removing animals, we're removing trees, we're removing waters, we're poisoning things at such an alarming rate. And even though the science, I don't know, especially with that skull and bones symbol, which is like poison, don't take it. Even with all the science of how much we are dumping onto the planet in terms of poisons, we're still keeping doing it. So what's actually more important? The me culture, the selfies and all that stuff, and like our kids are growing up not even connected to the earth, not even knowing the not really healthy legacy we're leaving them because we decided collectively, I guess, to follow a group of people that talked about ownership. And then, we just fell into kind of like a servitude. Like, we work, but, we pay our taxes to the government who are supposed to keep up certain rules to protect us. We pay to all these corporations for things that we want and we need. And, part of this whole deal was us being responsible and accountable to be good guardians of the earth. And not judging or criticizing, I'm just asking, like, how are you playing your role of really being a healthy, respectful, honoring, gracious, appreciative person who lives on this exquisite earth that everything was given for free? How are you playing your guardianship role in this life? And what's the legacy that by your actions you are leaving for the next generations?